When Angular 14 was released, there was an announcement on Medium that Angular was going to become more streamlined by removing the need for modules. They called it their standalone API. With Angular 16 on the horizon, I thought it would be cool to look at how we can clean up our Angular apps with standalone components. I think it's important to understand how Angular apps worked before standalone components. So we're going to talk briefly about Angular and modules. If you're unfamiliar with Angular, it's a modular framework for building front-end web applications made up of building blocks called modules. Modules are containers for a cohesive block of code, meaning that if we look at it in terms of an actual application, a module would contain all the necessary code to make one small part of your application function. Think about an app like Twitter. If we were to build it in Angular, there would no doubt be something like a tweet module. That module would contain a tweet component that displays the tweet. It might also have a toolbar component that displays all the buttons at the bottom of the tweet, and maybe a custom directive that takes your tweet and looks for links that it can display nicely. There would be different working parts of the module that make this tweet function, and all of these parts would be contained inside of one module. The Twitter app would be made of hundreds of different modules that you can put together like building blocks to develop something like Twitter. I've created my own Twitter clone to demonstrate the difference between Angular modules and standalone components. Let's have a look at a tweet component with modules. I've created a tweet module that contains the tweet component, the tweet buttons, as well as the tweet title. If we look at our tweet module, we can see how the different components are used. We've declared our tweet component, tweet title, and tweet buttons. We have also exported our tweet component so that it can be used outside the module. While there's nothing inherently wrong with this approach, there are a few drawbacks. The first one is that it can be difficult to determine which dependencies a specific component needs. Modules are responsible for importing the dependencies for each component it declares. Since it isn't clear which components need what dependencies, it can cause some confusion. And since a module imports all the dependencies for each component, even if it might not need them, that can cause some overhead. Let's look at this same example, but with standalone components. Converting our component to a standalone is pretty easy. We can just add the standalone flag to the component decorator, then we need to import the common module. We'll do the same thing with our tweet buttons component. Now we can add the standalone flag to the tweet component, then we'll add the common module, the title component, and the buttons component to our tweet component. Since these are all standalone, we can add them directly to the imports. Now we can just delete the tweet module. If we look at our previous example, we can see some of the benefits of standalone components. We don't couple all of these components together under one module, and we can easily see each component's dependencies. This will also remove the overhead that we talked about earlier, making our app smaller and more efficient. Thanks for watching this video. If you learned something, make sure to like and subscribe.